yourself?
Connor Delves, an actor, singer, producer, and director.
Is that all?
Apparently.
This is Connor, interview part 1, take 1.
Define what you do.
I'd definitely say multi-hyphenate is a part of that conversation. Acting is the one word. If we're talking about our golf bag of jobs, one word, but producing for sure, creating for sure. Singing is a big part of my life, and making creative work.
So you said actor was the big one.
Yeah.
As an actor, what keeps you going?
The best actors I've ever met in the world. Famous, working a lot, always want one more thing, something else. I've never met an actor that's content. And a really good teacher of mine always said, find the difference between being content and being satisfied, because they are two different things. You can be really satisfied with what you've done, but being content is like a negative sit back action, as opposed to an active. So I'm always thinking about the next thing, really. So I think it's a lifelong career choice that I'll never really be settled in it, but it's always like hungry for the next thing. So chasing.
Never be content.
No.
So is that what keeps you coming back?
I think so. I think also because it's not one story to do, right? It's not like a 9 to 5 where you're sitting down doing similar jobs every day. Like there's always a new role, a new character to follow, a new story to tell, whether that's one I know or one I'm learning about. So there's just kind of endless possibilities in that, really.
So, I mean, you talk about roles. You have a diverse slate of roles in your career so far, on stage and on screen. What's drawn you to the roles that you've chosen?
When I get to choose, that's a luxury. I think all the ones I've said yes to maybe is probably a better way to look at it, just because actors that get to choose the jobs they're doing, that's a really fortunate place to be in. But I'd say the roles that, particularly the ones that I've created or been a part of the creative process, so ones that have a very clear change and differentiation in what they're doing, what they're going through. I love a physical role as well, so anything that is physically taxing, or I find my work is the best when I'm physically engaged. So if I'm having a physical action with my work and it be an active role, that's always really fun for me. Makes me feel like I'm working as well.
Something like sword fighting on stage and then
Sword fighting on stage has been a part of the career, and I love doing that.
So you talk about all these characters. How have these characters, these people that you've created and portrayed, impacted your personal life?
Hugely. I think in terms of, my mum would always say that she can tell me things as many times as she wants, but until I experience it myself, that's when I've learned the lesson. So probably playing roles has contributed to me learning a few lessons in life. In saying that, I don't believe that acting is therapy, and it shouldn't be. It's a job, and it's also something that people need to control their triggers, control how they work, and it shouldn't be therapy. So yes, it's impacted my life, and like, oh, that's an interesting thing to think about. And I've had to understand different point of views that I might not have just in my everyday life, but I'm not gonna have an explosion on set or in a rehearsal room, because that's not the job.
So, personal question now. I know. We've had 5 years working together, 5 photo shoots.
Yes.
What makes a creative relationship like ours work, and what has made our experience unique to you?
Trust, for sure. I mean, we started working together at a really trustless time in history, right? Pandemic, 2020. So right before that, when it was all kind of happening. So in an unsettled moment in the world is when a very intimate creative relationship was born, which is interesting to think about it like that, because we hadn't really worked together, hadn't known each other's work to a great extent. We kind of met at a creative event and just kind of connected, and it was like, cool, what about this? But trust and communication was a big part of that. We spoke about what we wanted to do with a clear intention, but also the willingness to play and have fun. It's a big part of my job, it's a big part of your job, and then also becoming friends. And it's an interesting thing in the creative arts, because it makes you be friends with people and get to know people on a familial level or a loving level, but it is still a job, so it's very interesting to kind of differentiate those things. For us, it's been trust, it's been willingness to try new things. We've done shoots that I wouldn't have done without you, And I would hope that we've created things together that without me, we wouldn't have found, maybe you wouldn't have found.
How do you challenge yourself?
It's a good question because you kind of have to create a schedule for yourself a little bit, not like school or a 9 to 5. I'd say the challenge from myself is that when I'm not actively employed by someone else is to keep the creative juices going, keep a schedule. Certainly producing is a big challenge because the buck stops with you, both financially and creatively, and having to be the hard guy sometimes. There's much more beyond the pearls. So I'd say I challenge myself through the work that I put on produce orally, but also when I'm in something, you naturally hit a wall sometimes with shows. Show I did last year in London, there was a really tough bit in terms of staging and creative output, and the director probably would have settled, but I was like, we should maybe keep working on this and find it, and we did. So, when you hit a roadblock, being a problem solver really is a big part of any actor's journey, and some people are willing to go there with the team if you trust them, and some are not. So I try to, if I hit a wall, persevere with the team I'm working with.
Love that. So on top of that, as a creative person, what are you afraid of?
For sure, failure.
Yeah.
Is the obvious answer. Financial failure. I think coming from a background where I could have gone into other jobs, I could have gone into something that would have made a lot of money consistently. And not in a arrogant or chauvinist way, but just I chose this career and promised everyone around me that I'd make it happen. But it's constantly a battle with making it happen year after year. You go through good times, not so good times, and the fear of financial failure is real. You don't get into acting for the money. Misconception that everyone is rich and famous, not true. And because I don't really have a fear of critical failure. I don't. I think any actor that's really worrying about critical success in terms of reviews or what people say are in the wrong business, because it's brutal and people are always going to have something bad to say. Always. Whether that's on socials, audience members or critics, there's always something bad to say. So I'm not worried about the critical side of it. I'm not scared of that at all. Bring it. I don't care.
So failure in you're not achieving your dreams, you're not achieving what you set out to do, kind of sense.
Yeah, or that I hit a wall with not having access to stories that I want to tell, whether that's being cast in something or producing it myself. If that was stopped, that would be difficult.
On to another us question. So
Us question.
our shoots together. Soho, right before the pandemic, freezing.
Freezing.
Beach,
Freezing.
Pandemic summer, slightly less freezing.
Cold though.
Cold,
Very
yeah.
cold.
Chicago, January, freezing.
Freezing.
20 suits, Brooklyn studio.
Yes.
What's been your favorite shoot of ours and why?
They're all so different. Like I've never worked with a photographer or filmmaker that has brought so much differentiation to the table. It's a real blessing. Love working with you in that way. The beach shoot was magic. In terms of our magazine dreams of an Esquire photo shoot, it was definitely a really cool concept and early in our working relationship, but it was one we nailed. And I don't think we knew going in what the output was going to be. There were so many factors: light, sound, weather, how I looked, your ability to get in the water, the sand, and there were lots of factors that could have gone wrong and didn't. And the shots came out amazing. You did such good work. It was the one that surprised me the most, and I love surprise. Surprises are good, except birthday. Never surprise me with a birthday party. I don't want it.
There goes my plans for next year. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't want a surprise birthday party. But apart from that, it was a very surprising shoot that I loved. Yeah.
What do you wish more people knew about acting?
For sure that there is a difference between a working actor and a celebrity. They're two different things. And an aspiring actor is the worst thing to be called, is an aspiring actor. You're either an actor or you're not, in my opinion. And there are lots of working actors that are booking big shows, big films, consistently working for years and years and years, and still the general public don't know who they are. That's okay. That's okay. So understanding that, and that there should be a respect for that type of actor. I've been very lucky in my career, but the first thing anyone asks when I'm out of a bar or whatever, oh, what have I seen you in? The answer is probably nothing. That's okay.
You're still paying your rent.
Credit card, swipe. But no, yeah. And hopefully one day there is that access because it gives you access to other jobs and bigger jobs. But fame is a figment of a lot of people's imaginations.
Last question. Speaking of fame,
Yeah.
what are your creative aspirations?
I think to have creative control on a larger scale is something every actor would really want, right? I mean, you see the access to scripts that the Kate Blanchetts of the world get, and the scripts are such fire that with resources behind it, what you can create it is amazing. So having that creative control on set, but also the scripts coming over one's desk become remarkably different when you have that level of fame and access. So to have that at my disposal would be an amazing thing in the future, but it never stops, right? I mean, these people are always searching, always looking, and the best creatives that I know are always searching and want more and hungry for it. So to always stay hungry, I think, and have greater access would be great.
Or to be Kate Blanchett.
Or that.
You could do worse.
Good.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Dax. Bye.